The markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, meaning you can place whatever bets you want, but the market's going to do what the market's going to do. My name is Christopher Yule. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, the best traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where we save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. Now let's get into the lesson of the day. All right, so be sure to stick around to see how we rank this out of 10, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So let's jump right into this. This is the emergency Palantir stock update. Do this ASAP from the Tom Nash channel. Let's see what Tom Nash has to say.
Had an amazing ride for the past 2 years, going all the way from $6 to $80 in the span of 2 years, but yesterday was a complete slaughterhouse. The stock dove off a cliff, losing 8% in a single day, and today, as of the making of this video at least, the stock is still down in pre-market, so who knows when this thing stops. Now, in this video, I'll explain to you what happened, why the stock is down, and if I think the stock is going to keep coming down, where this stops, and more importantly, what my strategy is going forward with Palantir.
Okay, let's take a look at Palantir's chart real quick. So, I mean, this has absolutely been on a huge run. Like what he was saying, like $6 or so, and then just like rocket shipped up to over $80 at one point here. Now, I was taking a look at this, and this really reminded me of what is called the market cycle in stocks. And so I wanted to share that with you. That would be this right here. Market cycle investing guide, right? Where it's done at the bottom, it's going sideways, and then it catches a couple bounces. Down at the bottom, going sideways, catches a couple bounces. And then, hey, you know what? Everybody's excited. There's belief, and then there's thrill going on with it. You've got everybody excited, belief, and thrill going on with it. And then it reaches this point at the top called euphoria, right? There's oh gosh, what is there's a term just where people get out of control, right? Animal spirits. And I mean, that's really what it looks like right up here, the euphoria, the thrill. And then we might be looking at the other side of this right here, where it goes from euphoria to complacency to anxiety, right? I mean, we kissed the 50-day moving average, which is the first time it's even been looked at since August, and before that in June. And so all of a sudden, this huge run of a stock may have just hit a giant wall right here, right? And it just really reminded me of this, right? And then on the other side of this, be careful, right? Because if you are a Palantir shareholder, right, it could go, I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it could go right on down. In fact, the 10 and 20 period moving averages are about to cross down. So whenever I look at a stock and I see the blue line, which is the 10 EMA, crossing under the 20 EMA, and then price being under the 50, which that hasn't happened yet, but it's really close. That's a bearish trend. That is absolutely a bearish trend. We're not quite to that point yet, but it's getting really close.
Now, the entire market dove off a cliff yesterday. Palantir was no different. When the Fed sneezes, everybody gets wet, some more, some less. A stock that is extremely volatile and highly correlated to the market like Palantir, with a beta of almost 3, it's going to get wet a lot more than others. Now,
let's explain beta real quick. So beta means for every $1 move in the stock, Palantir could move $3. Well, more percent. 1% move in the stock in the stock market, this S&P 500, Palantir could move 3%, right? And that makes it a very volatile stock, right? I don't look at betas a whole lot, but if you're trading something that's 1.0, it's generally considered not very volatile, right? Something chill. There's plenty of stocks out there with a beta of less than 1.0, but something with a 3.0 is definitely something that if you're not used to volatility, it might scare you right on out of it.
Yesterday, just to keep a long story extremely short, we had some macro data that showed that the economy is stronger than people thought, which basically leads people to think that the Fed might not cut rates at the same pace they promised to begin with, and that basically sent people to panic mode. Everybody.
When's the last time you were buying groceries, going to the gas pump, doing whatever, and thought, man, the economy is so much stronger than we thought? Not me. I don't know where the Fed gets these numbers from, but I don't know anybody who's thought that over the last 4 years. Just saying.
got with Palantir included. But Palantir actually had some extra oomph to their drop because Kathy Wood sold some Palantir stock, and again, people freaked out. Now, in my personal opinion,
So Kathy Wood is the fund manager for ARK, ARKK, which with that ARKK was basically a meme stock a couple of years ago, and it went absolutely gangbusters. In fact, let me see if I can find it real quick. You can see, you know what? We talked about the market life cycle. This looks a hell of a lot like that, doesn't it? Right? You've got your hope, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria. Hope, optimism, what was that? Thrill, belief, thrill, euphoria up here. And then you've got the other side of it. Complacency, anxiety, denial, panic, and then anger, right? I know a lot of people felt those emotions all the way up and all the way down on ARKK, thanks to Kathy Wood. And then it went sideways from May of 2022, and now we're in 2025. I'm not saying that this is where ARK is going to start popping off, but he mentioned ARK, so I wanted to put it out there.
Kathy Wood has as much to do with innovation, tech, and understanding of Palantir as my grandpa's balls to space travel, but that's just my own opinion. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this. I pay no attention to what she's doing with Palantir. She has a long track record of trading the stock and not long-term investing, so I don't care when she buys. I don't care what she sells. Good luck to her. Good luck to her fund. It's not.
You don't care when she buys or sells, but yet you're taking, 10% of your video to talk specifically about her. Okay, I think you probably have a little bit of care.
None of my concern, but you have to understand, in a world filled with trading bots, and this news comes in, Kathy Wood sells Palantir stock, and have macro data that's sending the entire market down, there's going to be selling pressure, extremely, extremely powerful, especially with a stock like Palantir, which is very, very volatile. And on top of it, we had Morgan Stanley come out and say, well, Palantir is a great company, great technology, long-term, it has a bright future ahead, but short-term, it is slightly overvalued. We expect that the stock is going to drop to the 60s. In fact, they gave it a $60 price target, and what seems to.
All right, $60 price target. Let's go back to Palantir. So it's at 68 right now. And how much is it? So from this high to the close right here is down. Oh, geez, down 20%. Holy moly, down 20% in the span of just a couple of days. That is intense. All right, keep on going here.
To be a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point because their bearish outlook again nudged the stock even further to the cliff, dropping it along with Kathy Wood, along with the rest of the market. And on top of it, we have.
But okay, the self-fulfilling prophecy can really be seen in the charts, right? I'm of the opinion that if you are just market aware, you don't have to stress, right? I'm of the opinion that the market will tell you where it's going. The stock will tell you where it's going. And rather than being emotionally invested into any stock out there, I would really encourage you, at least this is the way that I would do it, is just add a couple moving averages to your screen, right? You've got the 10 EMA, which is the blue line, the 20 EMA, which is the black line, and the 50 EMA, which is the red line. That's it. That's the only lines I put on my chart. Now, when you look at those three, what do they tell you? It's the short term with the 10, the intermediate term with the 20, and the long term with the 50. And if they're all in agreement, by God, you've got a bullish trend. Or if they're all in agreement the other way, you've got a bearish trend right there, right? But you've got to be, you must divorce yourself from the emotional aspect of this stock. You may love Palantir as a company. You may love what they do. You may love Gotham and everything else that Palantir has. But does that pay, right? It has over the last few months, right? But before that, it has over the last few months. But before that, did loving this stock pay? No. I mean, it went from, say, I'd have to like zoom on this just to show how flat it was, right? How many years did it have flat line, right? This is what I like to call dead money, right? How many years did it have dead money before it popped off a little bit? And then it had dead money from August of 23 to February of 24 before it popped off again, right? And look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see a couple moving averages on here, right? When they spread apart, when they stack on top of each other and spread apart, that constitutes the trend. When they're all farting around with each other, crossing back and forth over and over and over, that's a sideways trend. And it gets really difficult when it's a sideways trend. You'll get chopped up and eaten up, right? But you don't have to do anything until things start moving in your direction, right? Let's say you want to be long Palantir. You don't have to do anything at all. You don't have to buy and sit on it for 6 months before it comes through. At all. I need you to really comprehend that, right? Even if you're a long-term investor, even if you want to stay in the stock for 20 years, you don't have to buy it. and wait until it starts to move. You don't have to buy it in the downtrend, right? When it's getting lower and lower in price, you can actually sit and wait until the moving averages start crossing back on top of each other, because mathematically they're saying the average price is going up. And if the average price is going up, the self-fulfilling prophecy, which you just mentioned a minute ago, is buying begets buying, selling begets selling. People get excited about it. And then you've got the emotional aspect that comes into it here, right? The optimism, the belief, the thrill, the euphoria. And then on the other end, when you see the moving averages cross back down, the complacency, the anxiety, the denial, the panic, and then people start moving with a lot of intention to get out of the stock. So what I'm trying to say is here is like Palantir has absolutely been on a giant run lately, but it looks like that giant run may have just hit into a wall as hard as possible, right? So I think, in my opinion, if I were holding this stock, I'm telling you exactly where I would have gotten out. I would have gotten out on this close under the 10 or under the 20, right around here, which is the first time it's happened since November, before it starts to get any worse. Now, I don't know if it's going to, but I'm saying that the short-term trend is currently pointing down.
Had, of course, Jim Cramer come out just a couple hours before the tumble started, come out and say that Palantir is the best thing since sliced bread. It's chef's kiss. And you know, when Cramer says these
The Cramer curse.
things, this is what tends to happen. The man is undefeated. I'm joking, of course, no disrespect. But as a new investor, I totally understand why you might panic. I understand why you feel anxious, why you're stressed. I get it. I've been there. I understand. You haven't seen this before.
Dude, he's describing how somebody would feel right here, which tells me I think this is the way that it's going.
All you've seen is just the stock green all day long for 2 years. I understand. You might be thinking, did I screw up? Did I make a mistake? Should have I sold early?
Dude, this is really interesting, right? The denial, the panic, the anxiety. I was not expecting that to happen, but he's describing exactly how this is on this side.
Earlier? Is it time to get out now and cut my losses? All of these questions are absolutely normal. So I'm not going to judge you on it. I'm not going to call you out on that. In fact, I'm going
to. But you don't have to have these questions. And that's what I want to stress, is that you don't have to have those questions. You can actually look at the stock and you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take my profits. I'm going to get out. Nobody's stopping you from getting back in later, right? Nobody's stopping you where, let's say, for example, let me draw on the chart here like this. Get all the old toothbrush or paintbrush here. Let's say it does do something like this, right? And then it turns around and goes back up. You can get out, and let's say you get out at $75, right? Let's say you get out at 75, which is approximately that red line I drew right there. And then you can get back in at 75, okay? Or it could do something like this. It could go from 75 to 60 to 40, right? We don't know what it's going to do, but you can say, okay, I'm going to get out at 75, wait until whatever volatility is going to happen. And then when it starts to go back up, I can get back in. Nobody's forcing you to stay into the stock in this period here. In fact, there's a slide that I always like to show. Let me find it real quick, because this is from one of my mentors, Mark Minervini. I said I worked with 5 of the market wizards. Mark is one of them. And I'll make this bigger for you. What he says here is, knowing when you should sell a stock when it does this, right? Imagine that you bought here and then it starts to turn back down. Knowing you should sell a stock when it does this, but you are afraid to sell out, right? You're afraid to sell out when it gets into this area here, because you know what? What if it turns back around? Fearing it'll do this, but what actually happens is you get caught in that huge down move down to here, right? So you don't have to hold it right there, right? You don't have to sit on those emotions with investing. Me personally, I've been out of the market since right after the election, right? Because I just haven't had any trades set up. And I'm not stressing because I'm not taking any trades, right? I have no FOMO whatsoever because I had a trading plan long before I ever got into any stock, knowing exactly where I'm going to get out. So if you're sitting here in Palantir saying, oh man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do when it hits in this area, right? You should have known that ahead of time. I'll be very honest with you. If you're getting into this, you should have known what you were going to do when it got here. So the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue holding it? Are you going to have these emotions like he's talking about here, which is perfectly normal? It doesn't have to be, right? Investing shouldn't be stressful. Trading shouldn't be stressful, right? If it's working for you, you hold it. If it's not working for you, don't feel bad about getting out. Just get out, get back in later when things are working better, right? And the market itself is selling off, right? So you've got the market, which is pushing it down, the whole market. I always start with the top-down approach because if the market is pushing higher, then it's so much easier to ride anything, right? But if the market has peaked and is pushing down, and then your stock in Palantir has peaked and is pushing down, why are you holding on to this? So I guess that's the real question here is why are you holding on to this? If the market's going down, if that stock is going down, why are you doing that? Do you want these emotions here? Just take your money. Well, first off, make the trading plan ahead of time. Take your money out, sit on the sidelines until this volatility figures itself out, and then you can get back in. Or if the price goes down even further, just not buy it again. Right? It's up to you. You don't have to have those emotions.
going to confirm that this is absolutely normal. And even though a lot of people do not admit this, this is what most people think. And to this, I only have one answer, which is relax. Relax, my guy. Relax. Everything that's going on right now is absolutely freaking normal. Allow me to explain.
Okay. I don't like to watch these videos ahead of time because I want to make sure I get a cold read on them. I would tell you the exact opposite. I would say if you had planned to get out, because first off, did you even have a plan? Second off, where was your plan, right? Did you say I would get out if it hits the 50-period moving average? I mean, it could bounce and go back up. Did you say I'll get out when it closes under the 20-period moving average? Whatever, right? The last time it did that was right here, and it went right back up. You know what? You can actually get out when it closes under. And then, this is crazy, right? You can get right back in if it closes back over. You can get right back in. Nobody's saying that you don't have to. But if you don't control your risk, you're going to end up in a situation like this where you're going to lose buttloads of money that you don't have to. And I didn't realize that he is telling people to just relax and hold, right? Buy and hold is asinine when you can look at a chart and you can say, you know what? Things aren't looking so great. I'm going to jump out. And then once it recovers, once we see the price start to show momentum again, I can get back in. But in the meantime, I'm going to get the hell out of the way. That's what I would do.
Explain. You see, Palantir is what you call the high beta stock, which means that it has a very, very high correlation to the rest of the market. When the market is happy, just a little.
No, beta means it moves more than the market, right? Moves more than the market. Okay, 1% move in the market, 3% move in Palantir. That's what beta means. I don't know if he's got his definitions right. In fact, let's ask ChatGPT. What does the stock beta of 3 mean? Stock beta of 3 means that the stock is 3 times as volatile as the market. That is not correlation. Not at all. High beta stocks like those with a 3 are considered riskier because prices can fluctuate significantly in response to market changes. Yeah. But you don't have to hold that. I don't know how more plain I can make this. If it's going down, you don't have to hold it. Why would you hold it? Right? Are you just nervous that it's going to come back up? Dude, if it comes back up, buy it again. It's okay.
Bit, like a little smile, like Palantir is like, the same kind of stock that behaves like this in good times when the macro data comes out and it's not great, and when there's also other negative catalysts like Cathy Wood selling and you have the Morgan Stanley stuff going on, that pushes the stock a lot further than the rest of the market. And that is the flip side. A highly reactive stock like Palantir is going to behave in an overreactive manner, upwards and downwards. And yesterday you saw an example of downwards. But it's important to remember, when in doubt, zoom out. The stock is up 320.
No, when in doubt, get the frick out, right? If you are looking at any stock and you're like, man, I'm not really sure what to do, it's okay to get out. I would recommend personally to get out, right? When in doubt, get out. Not when in doubt, zoom out, right? Because if you zoom out, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's go to monthly candles. Weird. Doesn't that look like this? Weird. It's like this has happened for the last 100 years in the stock market, but nobody on the internet talks about, hey, you know what? You don't have to stress, right? Hey, this actually does happen. And I think you're hitting the euphoria point right here.
20% in the past 12 months. It hasn't taken a breather in 2 years. It's okay for the stock to correct a little bit. That's fine. In fact, it may
is fine. It's totally fine, but you don't have to hold it while it corrects a little bit. You don't have to hold it if it goes down 20%.
even drop further. Oh my God. Did I just say that? Yes, it may drop further because in the short term, the market can be insanely irrational, insanely unpredictable. You think of a kid that just had.
All right. So since he brought it up, one of my very favorite quotes in the market is the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, meaning you can place whatever bets you want, but the market's going to do what the market's going to do. Right. The market's going to act crazy. If you think if it's your interpretation that the market's acting crazy, it's going to continue to act crazy as long as it wants to. And if you're betting against that, if you're betting against the craziness of the market, that it's going to go back to normal, bro, you can go broke so fast. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. I'm not saying that you're going to go broke trading Palantir, but what I am saying is that you need to control your risk. Always trade risk first.
5 chocolate bars and it's basically running zoomies in your living room. That's the market in the short term. You don't know how bad it's going to get before it stops. Nobody knows. And if it's going to drop further, what do? Do you sell now? Do you buy now? Do you buy later? Do you wait for it to stop? Do you wait for it to?
Well, you should know this ahead of time. You should have a plan that says, I'm going to buy this stock if it does this thing, whatever that thing is, right? If it's a breakout to new highs, if it's moving average crossovers, if it's whatever indicator you've got, you need to have a plan A to get in. And then B, you need to have a plan to get out. Now, the hard part is following the plan to get out, right? Because it's exciting to get into a trade. It's so exciting to get into a trade, right? You've got your hopes up, your ambitions up, you just put money at risk. But on the other end of it, if things aren't working, are you going to follow that plan? That was one of my huge weaknesses early on in my trading career was I would have this plan to get in, I'd have this plan to get out, but I wouldn't follow it. I'd say, I'm going to give it 50 cents more. I'm going to give it $1 more. I'm going to give it another $1 on top of that, right? And by the time I actually got out of the trade, I was wiped out so much further than I would have been had I just followed my original trading plan. So I'm not liking this video at all. I think that this is really bad advice.
Come up again. I'm going to explain everything right now. Do not worry. I'm going to give you all the strategies. So first of all, you have to understand that you need.
I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let him give you any strategies. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into ranking this video now. And so on the video ranking, this is what we got here: forgettable, painful, frustrating, mediocre, meh, decent, nobody gets a 7, impressive, epic, or legendary. This needs to go in the #1 forgettable category. You need to forget this video ever existed. Do not watch it again. Do not recommend it to anybody else, because of the 431,000 people subscribed to his channel, 123,000 people have watched this. 123,000 people were just told, you know what? It's okay if the stock is doing this. It's okay if the stock has hit euphoria and complacency, because it's going to go up further. It's going to go up further, right? No, you need to always trade. Let me rephrase that. I always trade risk first, and that's allowed me to stay in the market since 2009. If you are trading risk first, there's a good chance that you can survive it as well. But if you trade hope first, you're going to get caught. And it may not be on Palantir. It may not be anytime soon, but you're going to get caught in this position right here. And when it does catch you like that, you're going to be wishing that you had traded risk first. And what is risk first? It's just knowing where you're going to get in and where you're going to get out. So let me know. Tell me in the chat what you're trading these days, right? I'd love to hear. And if you are trading Palantir, how are you trading around this? Are you holding it even if the stock price is going down? Tell me why you're continuing to hold it, because if the price is going down, I mean, you can get out, and then when it starts to come back up, you can get back in at no change in price. If that's where you decide to get in, it makes no difference, right? So let me know in the chat what you're doing. And of course, come back tomorrow where you can save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team here in the Outlier Trading Room. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon.